Hi, and welcome to the channel where we discuss medical topics and lifestyle. In today's video, we are talking about pre-diabetes. It's a popular term these days and warrants a discussion. We're going to define it along with the differences to just diabetes, the mechanisms behind it, the blood tests that you frequently question and see from your doctor's office that make you wonder, is it diabetes, is it pre-diabetes, and some of the ways of overcoming it. So let's get into the video. So what are these terms we keep hearing about? So diabetes, more specifically type 1 diabetes, type 2 diabetes, pre-diabetes, gestational diabetes. So we have all these terms, but before we define them, we have to understand a little bit of simple anatomy behind it all. So diabetes is primarily an issue of sugar in our bodies. So let's just quickly cover that before we get into the definitions of the terms. So diabetes is a condition that causes a person's blood sugar level to become too high. So we have two major players here. One is sugar, and the other is a hormone called insulin. So we have sugar and insulin. And think of it as a bit of a balancing act. So the insulin is a hormone that is produced by the pancreas. It's an organ in your abdomen, and it balances the sugar levels in our bodies. So when we consume sugar, the insulin is the important player that polices this sugar. Let's break it all down. So normally, after you eat, the body breaks down the carbohydrates in your food that you ingested into a type of sugar called glucose. This is then transported into your cells to provide energy. Insulin, like we mentioned, it's a hormone produced by the pancreas. It's a gland behind the stomach. It helps regulate the amount of glucose in your bloodstream. So if your body is resistant to insulin, or if your pancreas does not produce enough insulin, glucose can build up in your bloodstream, leading to things like prediabetes. Carbohydrates aren't the only form of energy for our cells. There are proteins, there are fats, but for the purpose of this video, we're focusing on the carbs as the fuel source of our cells. Now, regarding the question of insulin resistance and why that happens, there are various things to talk about there, and we'll make a future video on that for sure. Now, this is the gist of it. So when there is a building block of glucose in the bloodstream, it builds up. If there's nothing to control it, it's not good. Too much of anything, generally not a good idea. In the same way as adding 10 spoons of sugar to a cup of coffee probably makes it a bit worse for you, both from a taste perspective and how you feel afterwards. So that's the gist of it. So let's go back to our original question. What is type 2 diabetes? What is type 1 diabetes? What is pre-diabetes? Ultimately, it's a problem of sugar and insulin. So in type 2 diabetes, the body doesn't produce enough insulin, or the body cells don't react to the insulin properly, and therefore there's a buildup of that sugar, of that glucose. Prediabetes is something on the way there. So it's a condition that occurs when a person's blood sugar level is higher than normal, but not high enough to be classified as type 2 diabetes. So we have this problem of insulin and blood sugar levels. Type 1 diabetes is quite different. Type 1 diabetes isn't really related, so it's more of an autoimmune condition. So it's a lifelong condition where no matter what you do, it's going to be happening. So it's where the body attacks itself and the cells that produce insulin, leading to a type of diabetes. So we're focusing on the pre-diabetes side of things. So basically, it's a warning sign that your body is not processing sugar properly, and if it's left unchecked, it could lead to full-blown diabetes. The most common test used to diagnose prediabetes and what you see at your doctor's office is the HbA1c test. So this measures the average blood sugar level over the past 2 to 3 months. So this is what you see when you get your blood sugar levels tested by your GP, and usually the results that you see on your apps and results and when they talk to you. So an HbA1c below 42 is considered normal. Above 48 is considered to be type 2 diabetic, and in between is pre-diabetes. So you're on the fence there. So it's important to remember from here that you have pre-diabetes. If it goes unchecked, you lead into type 2 diabetes. These two are heavily linked to lifestyle, of course, dietary choices, things like that, sugar levels. Type 1 diabetes is different in that regard, so separate those two in your minds. Keeping that in mind, fortunately, prediabetes can often be reversed through lifestyle changes, such as losing weight, exercising, eating healthy diet. In some causes, medications can be used, but this is often when you're already over the fence into type 2 diabetes territory. There's typically no symptoms of prediabetes, so it's essential to get blood sugar levels checked, especially if warning signs are there, right? Weight gain, things like that, lifestyle choices. Now, this can be picked up. Your blood test can be picked up at an annual health check and things like that. So if it's picked up, it's important to keep an eye on it continuously to prevent you from going over that fence and tipping into type 2 diabetes territory. Because ultimately, we don't want type 2 diabetes because it can lead to a lot of health complications down the road. It's a big, big problem. It's very common. I mean, we'll make other videos on type 2 diabetes, but here are some of the symptoms of it. And there are so many worse ones. So if we're on the fence, let's get back to this side of the fence and not go over it. So we've identified that lifestyle and dietary factors are the biggest contributors of going into that territory of prediabetes and type 2 diabetes. But who is at risk? Who can be at more of a risk? So there are some risk factors there. So if you're living with being overweight or obesity, if you don't have a healthy diet, if you have a family history of it, this can contribute to it. If you're of Asian, Black, African, African Caribbean origin, if you take certain medications like steroids for a long time, if you have high blood pressure, and if you've had gestational diabetes. So this is diabetes that comes on during pregnancy. So these are all risk factors, but I really don't want to show you in this video that if you're at risk, you're going to get it. I mean, it's very much, or it can be argued that it's very much a preventative thing. So it's a preventative disease. So if you really focus and dub down on your lifestyle factors and diet and exercise and eating healthily and cutting down on smoking and things like that, and are on top of your blood tests, you won't go over that fence. So this is the most important message to pass on from this video. So if you're diagnosed with prediabetes, don't panic. With the right lifestyle changes and medical care, you can often prevent or delay the onset of type 2 diabetes, and you can maintain a good healthy lifestyle. If it's left untreated, you go in the other direction. You progress to type 2 diabetes, chronic conditions start to litter over you, so serious health complications, heart disease, stroke down the road, kidney disease, and nerve damage. So it's very important to keep on top of your health and prevent this from happening. And there we have it. That was it for this video. So this was pre-diabetes. The important things to know about it. Don't let it define you. It's a very popular term, and you can walk around saying I'm pre-diabetic, but you mustn't let it rule your life. You must double down and focus on those numbers. Go below 42, and your body will thank you for it in the long run. Thanks for watching the video. Leave a comment in the section below, and we'll see you in the next one. Take care.